March 2010. A shipment of magnets is sitting in a warehouse in China, waiting to leave the country. It doesn't. Within weeks, the price of one of the most important materials inside an electric car motor explodes by more than 400%. And suddenly, automakers around the world have a problem, because those magnets aren't some obscure industrial component. They're inside the motors powering modern EVs. Tesla, BYD, Ford, GM, and the crucial ingredients, neodymium, dysprosium, and praseodymium, are overwhelmingly processed through one country, China. Here's where the story gets strange. China doesn't have a monopoly on the raw materials. The United States has them, Australia has them, Brazil has them, Vietnam has them. So why can't the rest of the world simply dig them out of the ground and make its own magnets? Because mining isn't the hard part. Processing is, and over the last 30 years, China built an industrial machine for doing exactly that, while much of the rest of the world stopped doing it. That decision created one of the most important hidden dependencies in the electric car industry. Because if the supply of these magnets suddenly stops, it isn't just a few parts that disappear. Entire EV production lines can be affected, and this has already happened once. So how did the world's biggest automakers become dependent on a single country for something so critical? And perhaps more importantly, why didn't they see the trap coming? The answer goes back decades, to a decision that seemed perfectly rational at the time, but quietly reshaped the entire global electric car supply chain. Let's start with why magnets even matter here. Most EV motors use what's called a permanent magnet synchronous motor. It's efficient, compact, and powerful, which is exactly why Tesla switched to this design for its Model 3 in 2017. But that efficiency depends on magnets strong enough to survive extreme heat and constant stress, spinning thousands of times a minute inside a sealed motor housing. Ordinary magnets can't do that. Neodymium iron-boron magnets can, especially when boosted with dysprosium, which keeps them from losing magnetism at high temperatures. There's no easy substitute. Engineers have tried ferrite magnets, induction motors, even magnet-free designs. Every alternative sacrifices either range, power, or cost. So the industry stayed locked into rare earth magnets. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Refining rare earth ore into usable magnet material is one of the dirtiest industrial processes on the planet. It involves acid leaching, radioactive waste byproducts like thorium, and wastewater that has to be handled with extreme care. In the 1980s, the United States actually led the world in rare earth production through the Mountain Pass mine in California. Then the math changed. China's labor was cheaper, its environmental regulations were looser, and its government treated rare earth refining as a strategic priority, not just a business. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Chinese state support poured into the sector while Western companies quietly shut their refineries down rather than deal with the environmental cleanup costs. Mountain Pass closed in 2002. By 2010, China controlled roughly 97% of global rare earth refining. Not because the minerals were only there, because nobody else wanted the toxic, expensive part of the job. That's the contradiction most people miss. This isn't a story about geology. It's a story about who was willing to build the ugly, expensive middle step that nobody else wanted to touch. So why does this matter so much right now? Because the electric vehicle boom didn't exist yet when China built that infrastructure. Back then, rare earths mostly went into electronics, wind turbines, and military hardware. But as EV sales exploded past 10 million units globally by 2022, demand for neodymium magnets exploded with them. China wasn't just supplying a niche industry anymore. It was supplying the backbone of the entire auto industry's electric transition. And that gives Beijing leverage most governments only dream of. In 2023, China restricted exports of gallium and germanium, two other critical materials, as part of an escalating trade dispute with the United States. It was a warning shot. Analysts across the industry read it the same way. If China can restrict those materials over a trade disagreement, rare earth magnets could be next. Here's what nobody tells you about that risk. It's not really about China cutting off supply completely. Full embargoes are messy and hurt China's own exporters too. The real leverage is subtler, slow-walking export licenses, adding new inspection requirements, letting shipments sit in customs for weeks. Small friction applied at exactly the right moment can stall a factory just as effectively as an outright ban. Automakers know this, and they've been trying to escape it for years. With mixed results, MP Materials reopened Mountain Pass in 2017 and now mines and processes some rare earth ore domestically. In 2023, General Motors signed a deal with MP Materials to source magnets made entirely in the United States, aiming to build a fully domestic supply chain by the mid-2020s. It sounds like a fix. It isn't, not yet. Mountain Pass still ships a large share of its raw concentrate to China for the final refining stage, the exact choke point the whole plan is supposed to avoid. Australia is trying a different angle. Lynas Rare Earths, backed partly by the Australian and US governments, built a separation facility in Malaysia and is constructing another one in Texas specifically to refine material outside Chinese soil. It's real progress. It's also years behind China's decades of accumulated expertise, permitting speed and processing scale. Then there's recycling, pulling neodymium back out of old motors, hard drives, and wind turbine components instead of mining new ore. Companies like Redwood Materials in Nevada are betting heavily on this approach, arguing that the fastest way to cut dependency isn't digging new mines, it's stopping the waste of what's already been refined once. Early results are promising, but recycled volume today covers only a small fraction of what the EV industry actually needs. So where does that leave the industry? Genuinely exposed for at least the next several years. Every serious forecast from industry analysts points to the same window, roughly 2027 to 2030, before alternative supply chains reach meaningful scale. Until then, a huge share of the world's electric vehicles will keep depending on magnets that trace back to Chinese refineries, no matter which country assembled the car or which badge is on the hood. And that's the part worth sitting with. We tend to picture the EV supply chain as batteries and lithium because that's the material everyone talks about. But the motor spinning your wheels has its own hidden dependency, one most drivers will never think about, buried in a component the size of a coffee can under the hood. The next time an automaker announces a shiny new electric model, the real question isn't just how far it can drive on a single charge, it's who controls the magnet that makes it move, and what happens the day that country decides not to sell.